Greetings, dear ones. It is Friday, April 30th, the last day of April. Hard to believe, but it is true. Um, Time does go by quickly and slowly at the same time. Very interesting. The subject of time we'll talk about another day. But today I want to focus on several different things. Today is Arbor Day. It is traditionally the last Friday in April. And I invite you all to really look about you and notice the trees around you or the lack thereof. There are many groups that are planting 1 million trees, etc. But interestingly enough, this week in the Cherry Hill Facebook group, there was commentary back and forth about trees being, many trees being cut down, or how the utility company has been just chopping off branches and chopping different parts of the tree that make it lopsided and, with no regard to the tree. And several people were commenting back and forth, and I shared a short trailer to what is now a documentary, and came out in 2016, I believe. The book, The Hidden Life of Trees, and has now been made into a documentary, as I said. I'm not sure where it is available, but apparently it is very new. I might be doing a series shortly, or I will be doing it, but the date is still up in the air, of watching documentaries, movies, series, or episodes of series that will really help to feel into your own intuitive abilities, that will help to let you connect to and even shapeshift into different aspects of nature. And today is a bit challenging for me. I will admit that, because as I woke up to, the day of my Facebook talk and meditation, and knowing that it was Arbor Day, the first sound as I was having my coffee this morning was the buzz saws and the chopper taking down a very large and old tree, not 3 houses down from me. And this is a sound that usually my first reaction is literally physically pain in my body, and my energy field wants to take me completely away from myself, so as not to feel what is occurring in regard to the cutting down of the tree. In this documentary and in this book, The Hidden Life of Trees, Dr. Walbeden, I never pronounce his name correctly, shares the knowledge and sentience of the trees, that they help one another, that they communicate with one another, that they send nutrients to one of the needy trees or sick trees in their community. And they do hold community. They are very aware of their relatives, i.e. trees that have come from them, Um, they also, give warning when there's a danger of a particular insect or um, a particular microbe that may be affecting them. They feel, they literally feel. There is much research being done right at this moment that when a tree is cut, there is actually a sound that comes off as if it were a scream. And not only in this book by Peter Wolleben, um, but he shares that they are sentient beings. And if you align with a spirituality that says we are all one, that says that every living thing is an aspect of the Creator, an aspect of the intelligence and life force of the universe, then at some point or another, if we as a species do not recognize, respect, acknowledge, and treat aspects of the earth and nature as such, we won't be here. Because that intricate, intimate, interdependent, interrelated, back and forth system that this earth is, we depend on the seasons and cycles and growth and life and deathing of aspects of nature so that we have food and air and water. The earth will recover no matter what is done to her. Bombs, explosions, an asteroid hits, no matter what, the earth will go through a rejuvenation, a deathing of parts, rebirthing of more. She will go on. We will not. And I find it very interesting. Yesterday, one of the announcements I made for today's talk, excuse me, was the focus on India today for the crisis that they are experiencing. And, many are angry in that country that the leaders went ahead and did what they wanted to do, i.e., hold political rallies with thousands of people, not provide sufficient equipment, sufficient PPE, not educating, making sure that the vaccines or the vaccinations were purchased and distributed, etc. And it strikes me that once again, or it struck me yesterday as I was in meditation and, throughout the week, how little regard there is for life, particularly as we look at some of the leadership in the world, whether it's autocrats or small political groups represented by a party, or the continuation in Latin America of such profound crookedness and bribery, and the idea that everyone is there just to take. And unless each of us are willing to look at our own ways in which we just disregard the other, disregard the land, disregard nature and the life that is therein, And, this is ancient. We can look at Game of Thrones and see, and many others, many other shows, many other movies, many other books that really illustrate the complete disregard for life or for a culture or for a race of beings. And that's what we're facing right now. That until and unless, as a species, we cease to discount, disregard, diminish, in any way, look at another or an aspect of nature as lesser than, as not having the same rights or ability to be and express, then we are going to continue to create destruction. And we're on the tipping edge still. We are on a tipping point. We can cut down just so many forests. We can destroy just so many ecosystems. We can discount and look down upon others, be it for their race, their religion, their beliefs, and discount their value just so long. This all stems from, those of you who are familiar with my work know that there is always a direct experience of that in each one of us as children. Children in general are not truly taken into account, and we have to recognize and remember that until recently, past, actually in many countries it still isn't, children are had or looked at as an asset, or as, for thousands of years they were there to, work the land. It was important to have many children because so many died. Children were, and in many instances still are, looked at just children. They'll get over it. They can handle it. They don't have feelings like we adults do. And certainly again throughout the week with clients, that was evident in many different ways. One client whose mother kind of discounted, or directly discounted, her feelings of fear in going over to her grandmother's, and how her grandmother, kind of harangued her and told her over and over again she didn't measure up, she wasn't this, that, or the other thing. And because of her mother's choice to not listen, to not tune in, this woman doesn't feel like she has the ability to say no to different friends and family. And so in working and transforming through that piece, she was able to come to a care and a regard and a respect for herself that allows her to feel clear and strong without the emotional anger or fear, to be able to tell a friend that was crossing boundaries in a really drastic way, that was not acceptable, that was not something that she was willing to do anymore. In another instance, a client whose father continually used her and took advantage of her willingness to, help him, to support him, to uh, take up the responsibility that he chose not to, and how that has colored her decisions in regard to her work, um, her supervisors, her husband, and how she is trying to discover that strong sense of her right to make choices, her right to follow what feels good and true for her in her authentic self. And this disregard that we feel as children, this unfeelingness on the part of parents. And many will say, well, I didn't have a terrible childhood. I wasn't beaten or starved or abused. But those old souls that are here have already experienced oftentimes those levels of abuse or neglect or torture, for that matter. And now the ways in which it is done are more subtle. They are on more emotional and spiritual and even energetic basis. So it's harder to detect in the subconscious. And that's why those who have worked with me know that I teach how to communicate with and receive information from your body, your energy field, your unconscious, your beyond consciousness. And that's the tuning in, and that's what was so prevalent this past week, is how we do not tune in to ourselves, how we were not tuned into. Those of you who have pets can oftentimes detect what they are thinking, what they are feeling, what they are saying, because it takes a great deal more to you have to feel them. You have to feel them emotionally, physically, and even intuitively, of course, to figure out what's going on with that animal. And yet we do not do that with children in the way that it needs to be done. And that's a listening on a wholly different level. And that's the listening that is being called for today between and among different groups, between and among different countries, between and among us as humans and nature. This is what Peter Wohlleben did in The Hidden Life of Trees. He not only looked at it from a scientific perspective, but he really spent so much time in the forest that he was able to pick up the more subtle pieces of information and realize what is really going on. Hearing, listening to what is really going on. And I'm inviting each one of you to truly listen. As I said, there is evidence, there is research being done and beginning of evidence that trees literally scream when they are cut. How much else is shouting out to us in action, in subtle ways, from ecosystems, from animals, from our oceans. This has been Earth Day, Earth Month, and we can take actions which are very, very important in preserving, in recycling, in making choices that support uh, the earth and support future businesses that, or current and future businesses, or businesses that are future thinking. For example, the president is actually here in Philadelphia today, speaking at the train station for and on behalf of the train system that we do not have here in the United States, that many other countries have high speed trains that are clean energy, that allow us to move very, very rapidly from, over large distances, and to move equipment and products and um, all that we normally do with trucks. And this pandemic has given us a great opportunity to see the weaknesses in the different transportation systems, whether it is trucking. I read an article within the past 10 days of the gap of truck drivers right now. There are trucks sitting, waiting for someone to drive them. Many of you may have heard the news reports of having shortages of gasoline this summer for our normal travel, because the gas is unable to get from from the source to the gas stations, because there are not enough truckers, particularly of that specialization, working with flammable items. So everything is intricately interconnected, whether it's in an economy, whether it's in a nation, whether it is in our relationship to nature. And we're living through radically evolutionary times to give us an opportunity to make different choices. And today, I know that perhaps we have very, very high winds right now. People are concerned about tree branches falling on their homes. But if we really care for those trees, if we really connect to those trees, if we really do all we can to not disrupt the community of trees in our area, they grow strong and fortify one another and benefit us in more ways than we can count. So I encourage you to read the hidden life of trees, or in a moment I'm going to show the trailer, so that we can all really sense into and invite in and allow to be part of today's meditation the wisdom, the knowledge, the abilities and skills between and among trees, and all that they support. As that tree was being cut down in my backyard, there was a flurry of activity of the birds, and all the homes that are now lost because that tree are cut down. Where are these birds going to go? There are less and less trees, and less trees that they particularly can nest in or receive food from. Decorative trees are putting in trees that are of that we don't have to care for much, that don't lose their leaves. This does not support the ecosystem and the biodiversity that is needed for a healthy environment. I invite you to really explore your area, your township. The Arbor Day Foundation is a fabulous organization. I've been a member for many, many years. They send out newsletters of how you can support trees, all about trees, their purpose, their life cycle, who they support as far as animals and birds. It's a wonderful, wonderful foundation. There are many others around, but the Arbor Day Foundation began in actually 1872. The first Arbor Day was April 10th of 1872. And it is said that on that day they planted 1 million trees around the country. The country was in on this. The man who developed the Arbor Day Foundation eventually and started Arbor Day was named Julius Sterling Morton. And he lived in Nebraska, and he was the governor of Nebraska. He was also the Secretary of Agriculture under Grover Cleveland, and helped people to understand the importance of trees. And it seems that it's something that even after 150 years, we have not really learned. So I invite you to, look up this amazing man, look up some of the history of the Arbor Day and Arbor Day Foundation, what's being done. They have always been a teaching foundation to bring that knowledge to schools and to help schools um, let children feel and touch and experience a tree, and all that they provide as far as shelter and food and the insects and the chemistry of the soil that is so vital. So we have, that energy here today. One of the other significant energetics that were coming in this week, which was kind of surprising to me, because generally when the plant kingdom offers themselves to work with me and clients, etc., it's usually the plant kingdom as a whole or a particular ecosystem, be it the plant kingdom within the jungles or perhaps the forests or another area. This week it has been ferns that have been coming through over and over again, whether it's in movies I've been watching or uh, people speaking about them or having them for sale. I'm actually going to be buying quite a few this afternoon for an area in my yard that does tend to puddle water. They are very good sponges at soaking up water. And so I started investigating and exploring what do ferns represent. And they had confounded scientists for many, many centuries because they do not have seeds that fall and are thereby reproduced. And as a matter of fact, through history, there are references, even in Shakespeare, there are references of having found a fern seed and therefore rendering yourself invisible. They are one of the few very primeval plants that survived the devastation of the last extinction period with when the dinosaurs were wiped out. They are very, very unique in the plant kingdom, as I mentioned, and they also have oftentimes represented magic and kind of sensibility and sensitivity. And they come through in many different cultures. The Maori celebrate them. The Slavic cultures also have traditions surrounding them. The Greeks did as well. They represent sincerity. And interestingly enough, I opened a book that I haven't done. I was told to open last night before going to sleep. And the passage that was that I was reading was focusing on genuineness. And as I did more research into the ferns, found this significant symbolism of sincerity. And what ties them together, interestingly, is a movie I would highly recommend. It's called Fern Gully. If you have not seen it, it is a children's movie, and it focuses on a rainforest that is being destroyed, and there are fairies and magical beings in this forest. It's a beautiful movie. It will renew you. It will reconnect you to the magic within you. So please try and find it. And even if you saw it a long time ago, watch it again. Watch it with your children if you have them. Watch it by yourself if you do not. Yes. So I'm going to invite everyone at this moment to just settle into your chair or the couch and hopefully find your sits bones. I'm sorry, I was momentarily distracted because, as I mentioned, I was going to show you quickly the trailer for The Hidden Life of Trees. Let's see if I can do this. I was hoping that there was an ability to share. Give me one moment. Let me see if there is a way with Facebook Live to share. Well, as I'm speaking, the tree chopper was just going by, and so hopefully that has ceased. I am not sure that I'm able to do so. So without delaying our meditation, I'm going to post it later along with this video or a separate post, and let you be able to see it there. More trucks leaving. Yay. So, and again, as I emphasize over and over and over again, it is vital to not only acknowledge the apparent destructive or negative aspect that is occurring in any instance, whether it's personally or globally, but to realize that there is purpose in that apparent darkness, in that apparent negativity, in that apparent destructiveness. And as I was speaking earlier, it's an opportunity for all of us to sensate, to feel into ourselves initially, and thereby being able to sensate and feel into the other, into aspects of the earth, into nature that is around us, not just see it and say, oh yeah, how pretty, but to actually allow yourself to tune in. And that's the invitation this week, that energetic, to really tune in with more than your eyes, more than your ears, beyond your senses, or as Barbara Brennan termed it, your high sense perception. That's your five senses heightened at a level of sensitivity that you are able to hear what is being said, not necessarily in your ears, but in what you are feeling in your body, in your energy field. So finding those sits bones and settling into your body and tuning into your insides, not simply exiting your body energetically or going somewhere through your higher mind, but allowing yourself to tune in and sensate and be sensitive to what your body is saying, what your energy field is saying, what your wider self is saying, what your spiritual guides, teachers, masters are trying to gift you in this moment to help you along your way. And as you find those sits bones, just allow your shoulder blades in the back to just kind of slide down a bit together. And what that does is it allows your skeletal system to do what it is meant to do. It allows your chest to lift a bit and give space for your diaphragm so that you are able to breathe more freely and possibly more deeply even. And that enables your energy field, which we normally tend to push upward out of our body as much as possible. We cannot, of course, leave it still within your body, but when we scrunch it upward, it helps us to not feel what is going on down inside of us, emotionally, physically, energetically. For so often, particularly those sensitives, fear feeling all that is occurring. And I remember many years ago when I was very much in that position. And it takes constant back and forth with yourself, with all aspects of you, to sit fully in who you are, allowing yourself to feel both the wondrousness and the not so wonderful. For it is all divine. Even those occurrences which appear so painful or sad, sorrowful, the loss of so many lives to COVID in our country, in every country around the world, and the current surge that is occurring in India. The loss of life in Israel this morning, in what was meant to be a spiritual celebration. And due to a large group of people trying to move through a very small passageway, many lost their lives. The grief and loss of an old tree that shelters and provides for so many. Yes, it is difficult to feel these things, it is difficult to comprehend how people can be so unfeeling towards one another or about this loss. How is it possible that a parent can be so unfeeling towards a child and their difficulties? As I was well reminded this morning in an interchange with a young man whose parents do not accept his gender fluidity. And while so much seems so insurmountable and overwhelming, there is so much that each of us as individuals can do. First and foremost, towards and within ourselves, which automatically shifts our interchanges, interactions. With our family, our friends, our communities, those that view things differently, those that are different. And as so many have said, it is our differences that are our greatest strength, our diversity. So as we call in and call upon the great and slow wisdom of the trees, the generosity of trees, the providing for us in so many ways. Not merely food, but the very air we breathe. Each tree holds the sum total of all the years of emissions, pollution that it has been taking in. So as that 50-year-old tree or more is cut down today, all those gases and emissions that it has been holding are released once again into our air, with fewer and fewer trees around it to accommodate those emissions released. also now call in and call upon the fascinating and very ancient knowledge and gifts of the fern plant. Found in so many forests all around the globe in many forms. Even in our homes. Allow your body to take in the gifts, the life force, offered by trees and plants, and their interconnection and interdependence and intercommunication. Allow yourself to tune in deeply within. To receive the subtle information and gifts that your own wisdom provides. Allow yourself to feel the life force coursing through every aspect of your body. Every cell, every atom. The constancy of the cycle of life. Feel the transmission from the very soil itself beneath you. That those plants and those trees, as they let fall or die away, rejuvenate and regenerate the microbiology, the microbes, the minerals within the soil. that are available and offered to you in any given moment. For as you tune in to the intricacies of your body and allow your energy field to take in life, the life force through the soil beneath you. You may notice a calmness, you may notice a quietness, a stillness within. And with that may also come a widening of you, incorporating more of you, but also a widening of your perceptive abilities. To tune in and intuit your own wider selves, wisdom and guidance. Speaking to you. The clouds, the mountains, the trees, the plants, the critters, the insects. They all have a voice. They all have something to say and share, just as each person has value, has purpose, has a voice. And as those voices are allowed to be heard in the magnificent symphony the divine music, feel how significant your voice, whether it is in action or merely presencing more and more of who you are. Perhaps it is in speaking out. Perhaps it is in deep listening. You may notice the lower area of your body, your anchor point, which is just at the top of the pubic hairline, or perhaps even your first chakra being activated. I encourage you to re-listen to this transmission, these last 20 minutes of this. Deep, deep listening. Allow your body to deep, deep listening energetically. To refill yourself again and again of that profound life force and life cycle. And as always, you are welcome to stay in this energy and always, always following your energy field, your wider self's way of bringing you back from a less physical or wider experience to a more physical reality, or what we call this reality. And just take that energy with you throughout the day, throughout the weekend. Listening, not with your ears, but with your feeling sense, your body and energy field, and deep, intuitive listening to those around you, to the trees, particularly today, the trees. And if you have an opportunity to plant a tree in someone's name, you will be continuing the tradition of so many years of Arbor Day. I will post the video of the trailer for the Hidden Life of Trees documentary, as well as a reminder to see Fern Gully and to investigate your environment's native trees and plants. As always, it is with great honor, gratitude, and love for your presence on this planet. Be well.